Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. Today is Sunday, April 4th, 2021, and happy Easter to everyone out there. Hopefully, everybody's waking up on this beautiful Sunday morning and finding a nice Easter basket full of chocolate and a bunch of yummy stuff. I know that I may have just snuck a chocolate bunny in this morning with my coffee myself. So, you got to do what you got to do. It's that simple. But hope everyone has a great and a blessed day. It is definitely a special day. I love Easter. And we're hoping also to have a lot of fun on our DFS slate today. We've got two distinctive slates in the NBA. We have a two-game slate for the afternoon, and then one game doesn't exist. For some reason, they couldn't fit it into the schedule there. The Celtics Charlotte game is not on either schedule, but then the main slate, which starts at the regular time at 7, is a 4-game slate. So we will review those 6 games on this podcast and get you ready for some serious takedowns on Easter. That would be an easy one to remember. We could all talk about later. Remember the huge takedown on Easter. That would be fantastic. So that's what we're looking to do. And we are going to go through these games, go through a couple of stats, some of the injuries. Right now, obviously, a lot of the guys sitting out for injuries, for protocol COVID stuff. There's all kinds of movement right now of players in and out. And, to have that edge and play the right ones in the right spots is the key. Yesterday we had both slates in baseball were winners. We did very well there. In basketball, a few things didn't work out. We skimmed by and did get some cash winners, but for the most part, the bigger tournaments in basketball just did not come through for us. We had a couple of players that just really disappointed. That Chandler Hutchison for one, and a couple other guys too that just Dean Wade. Good night, man. I was not a happy camper, but when you take those younger guys that are just getting into the flow of things, they are going to have some really poor games. So today's slate's interesting, though. There's enough variable choices in the evening slate to make it pretty wide open. But on this 2-game early slate, it's a little bit more cut and dry. So definitely join us at dfscoachtalk.com. You can get in our Discord in a matter of minutes once you sign up. And you can, if you sign up this morning here, you can get in for both slates. And what we provide is a coach's clipboard for the DraftKings, and it gives you 5 highlighted players and then a bunch of other players to choose from to complete your build. And then on FanDuel and Yahoo, we're giving complete hybrid lineups and a GPP on FanDuel as well. So we've got you covered. We have the best community in the business, some great pros out there that I really appreciate, especially Andrew Hansen and, of course, Josh Crash Davis. And, also just want to put out a big thanks. It's a thankful kind of Sunday, and just super thankful for my team here at Coach Talk that gets all the hard work done behind the scenes. And, with everything going on with the website and social media, and definitely couldn't do any of this without them. So a big happy Easter and thank you out there also. Not just Andrew and Josh, but to Joe Stanton, Tyler Pitzer, Brett Trimble, Dawson Sarvati. Our whole team really puts their heart and soul into it. And, I'm extremely picky with who we build our team with. And I think we have the best of the best. So thank you to those guys. All right, enough small talk. You guys tuned into this to hear some winners. So if you tuned in through YouTube, do me a giant favor. I'm going to give you a bunch of great plays, great builds here. Take 5 seconds, hit on YouTube, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe, and hit the alert bell. We really, really appreciate that. It helps us to move up the charts and beat the algorithm, if you will, to get some more listeners in there. So we would really appreciate that. All right, afternoon slate, 2 games, some pretty cut and dry stuff here. The first game is at 2 Eastern. It's the Brooklyn on the first night of a back-to-back against the Chicago Bulls. Brooklyn is -3.5, and the over-under's 225. We have Brooklyn right now sitting at 34-15. The Bulls are 19-28. The probable starting lineups, and again, highlight the word probable, is Kyrie, Bruce Brown, Joe Harris, Jeff Green, LaMarcus Aldridge. LaMarcus started, played a lot of minutes the first game out of the shoot. For Chicago, it is Satoransky, Levine, who's probable, Patrick Williams, Thaddeus Young, and Vuk. That's the prospective starting lineups. As far as pace goes, this is a good DFS game. We have the 8th and 9th respective speed teams pace-wise, so we're going to get a lot of shots up. And then it also gives more credence to this particular build because we've got poor defenses, 22 and 19th. So that's just another reason why this is a solid game. Like I said, we have Levine probable and Kobe White probable. They both missed before, and it created a lot of different minutes for that backcourt. I think Satoransky still is going to get the start as it was before Kobe got hurt, and Kobe sort of coming off the bench as a sixth man. And then as far as the Brooklyn news, Harden is out, which is huge news. And for Chicago, also Temple is out. So, how does the Harden and KD still out, obviously? Does Kyrie become a must play on this 2-game early slate? I say yes. Eat the chalk, eat a whole box of chalk if you have to. I just don't see how you play this 2-game slate without a very high usage Kyrie Irving with Harden and KD out. Now, I know we don't have tons of sample size on these 3 guys in Brooklyn playing together because there hasn't been many games where they're all available, but it's just inevitable in any of the combinations that happened the last few weeks. Who's ever the last man standing between those 3 all-stars usually has a great game. And Chicago's backcourt is not a strong defensive backcourt. So I'm starting my build with Kyrie. I think, with Harden out, the 20 seconds of the 24-second shot clock and about 50 shots, it seems like Harden has the ball all the time. All of that opens up for the rest of these players. So not only should Kyrie benefit, but I think Bruce Brown is a very viable play here. I think Joe Harris is a nice play. I'm not willing to take the leap on LaMarcus Aldridge yet. I know that he played massive minutes for him in that first game with them, and he was the starting center. But I need to see how this is going to play out. So I'm avoiding Aldridge. I'm avoiding Jordan, even Claxton, who we've gone to, and even Jeff Green. I just think there's 5 or 6 guys now at the 4 or 5 spot that are going to share minutes. So on the Brooklyn side, I like Kyrie's a lock, and then looking for an option there with probably either Brown or Harris. On the Chicago side, what I need to see on the news is there any limitation on Levine after missing the last game? If there's no limitation, I think, you've got to consider him just because he's been in such a role. But if we're expecting a little regression in minutes and usage because of the situation with him being hurt a little bit this last game, then, don't want to spend up there. Satoransky's been a constant and, been decent, but he hasn't been phenomenal. And, with Kobe White getting back into the mix there, not sure I want to take any shots there. If you need a super value play, for some reason, Patrick Williams is like one of the most disrespected guys in the league as far as pricing goes on both FanDuel and DraftKings. And he's not going to break the slate, but often 5, 6, 7x because his price is so incredibly low. So if you really need a plug-in go-to guy in this situation, it very well may be a Patrick Williams for value. The guy that I like, though, and I think I'm going to go there for the first time since he's become a Chicago Bull, is one of my favorite DFS targets, and that's Vuk. I think Vuk has needed the week to get acclimated. He's played a much better game the last go around, and I know there was a lot more usage with Levine off the floor, and he benefited for that. But I'm still going to consider Vuk here, even if Levine's back. Again, with Brooklyn rotating several guys at the big, Vuk's 3-point, all of them are going to have a weakness with guarding him. Aldridge will be able to get out a little bit further on him. But, if it's Draymond or Claxton, I'm not Draymond, but DeAndre Jordan or Claxton, a little bit tougher to guard him out there at 3-point range for those guys. So I think Vuk's going to be a very, very strong possibility for me in this game, really to correlate with Kyrie on the other side, and the jury's still out on Levine. All right, the second game in this 2-game early slate. Oh, by the way, let's go over the statistics. I forgot that. I don't know if I mentioned it, but Brooklyn on the first night of a back-to-back, 3.5-point favorite at Chicago, and it's a 225 total. I did mention the pace. I did. Okay, so 8 and 9 and 22 and 19 defensively. All right, Lakers, Clippers. Lakers are 31 and 18, Clippers 32 and 18. So, the Clippers have now caught the Lakers with no AD and LeBron. They have pretty much come down to earth with a thud. Clippers are 10.5-point favorites. How that hurts for the Lakers fans. 215 is the over-under. So low over-under with a big double-digit favoritism. Very strange there. Pace not great. Lakers 17th, Clippers 25th, which is really hard to believe that they're that low. Defense is also good, though. Lakers first still, Clippers 11th. So, certainly not the perfect match, and that's why I'm going to concentrate a little bit more with my bigger salary in that first game. The other thing here, we've got Drummond questionable with that toenail that he lost. I doubt he plays. And Matthews is also questionable. And the Clippers newly acquired Rondo. What a crazy matchup for him there. The Clippers, he is questionable to make his debut with the team. So, where do we go here? Do you go to the big bucks guys with Kawhi and George on the Clippers side? They're both supposedly in. You can go there. My concern was spending the big bucks here, and you can't load up on the big dogs in that first game and then come back and have enough salary to load up on the big dogs in the second game. So I'm not going to go Kawhi and George for the big bucks because I think the Clippers win this game fairly easily. I'm not going to call for a blowout, but I think fairly easily enough. And I'm going to look at the next flight down without having to dumpster dive on this afternoon slate. I think Schroeder is a good play, Kuzma, and now that Morris is back, all in play. For the Clippers side, Reggie Jackson's been logging a good piece of minutes at the point. Terrence Mann's been very effective off the bench. And then the other Morris, the one I like even better, is Marcus. So there is the potential I could have twin Morrises on my roster today, which is pretty weird. But I do favor Marcus over Markieff, but they're both in play. Zubats, a little disappointing last game. Not sure if I want to go that direction now that his prices come up a little bit. And there's just some really inconsistency there that I'm not crazy about. So again, I think there's some nice mid-level value play in this game to fill out some of the studs from that first game. And hopefully that brings home the bacon for you on that afternoon slate. All right, we're going to move to the 4-game slate Again, Charlotte-Boston's not on either one, so we're not going to review that game because unless you play it solo, you really can't play it. So we're going to go on to the main slate, which starts at 7 Eastern. First game is the Memphis Grizzlies at 23-23. Double lucky number there. That's sort of cool. Philadelphia is 34-15. We have Philly on the second night of a back-to-back, and Joel Embiid just came back yesterday. So he is listed as questionable. That's the only designation I have listed for this game, and that ends up being massively important to know. Philly's a 3.5-point favorite, and it's a 224 over under. I think the fact that it's only a 3.5-point favorite for Philly in Philly, I think Vegas is anticipating Joel doesn't play. That's just my gut, but we have to see what that news is coming up as the morning goes on. Problem here, though, is you've got that dual confusion. You've got great speed, but great defense. We're 7th and 5th in pace, but 7th and 2nd in defense. So what wins out here is going to be the question. And again, I say this all the time with Philly. When Embiid's on the floor, they are a top 1 or 2 defense, in my opinion. But when he's not on the floor, they're still better than average, but lower in the top 10 for sure, even maybe a few spots lower than that. So the key news is Embiid. That's going to really dictate how you fill out your lineup here. I think Joe Val is in play if Embiid sits, but not if he plays. You've got Ben Simmons, but he's pricey. I think he fits here. If Embiid's out, Tobias Harris had been very strong when he was out, but if he's in, his salary is still elevated from when Embiid was out. Secondary guys from Memphis that are always in play just because of the minutes: Dylan Brooks, Kyle Anderson, and maybe even a little Brandon Clark. But not crazy about this game, even though it has a decent pace. Just think the defense is strong here. And we really can't get, down and dirty with this game until we know if Embiid's playing or not. And if he is playing, is it a minutes limit? So that news is important to find out. And if you want to stay on top of that with us, certainly follow us on Twitter. And we're at DFS Coach Talk. I'm at JOESARVADI. Andrew is at Language Olympic. But the best bet is come and join us at dfscoachtalk.com. You can get a membership for as little as 3 days for $10. That's it. Check us out, see what you think. Or all kinds of good options here. We still have the if you join betus.com.pa, use the promo code CoachTalk, you can get 60 days, 2 full free months membership with Coach Talk. And just let us know that deposit was made in betus.com.pa, and then use the $149 you deposit there to play on the games, props, whatever you like to wager on. So that option is there. We also have our Major League Baseball All Access that goes from now until November 1st. So it is a great price. And just because it states it's the MLB All Access, that just means the time frame that your membership is. The unique thing here at Coach Talk is when you get a membership with us, regardless if it's the 3-day or one of the other options that we have set up, you get everything we have, all of our podcasts, all of our content, everything in chat, all of our lineups for all 4 major sports. And today's a perfect example of we're all over 3 of those 4. We're putting out multiple baseball and basketball lineups today, and we're riding this hot golf weekend only squad into today's play golf-wise. And we have some great chances at takedown. So fingers will be crossed as we're trying to watch basketball, baseball, and golf at the same time. That becomes a little bit tough. But we'd love to have you. And again, I say that because this kind of information with Embiid is very key. We're on this stuff like a hawk. The second the news comes out, it's being put in our Discord. We're adjusting lineups, and we're making sure that we can completely maximize to try to get to that optimal lineup. So also, what we're doing, and it's become a necessity. If you want to smash DFS right now in basketball, you have to plan for some maneuvering as the slate goes on. So in this evening slate, the first game starts at 7, and then we have a 7:30, an 8, and a 10 o'clock. So you got to be careful. If you pull one of those 10 o'clock spots to roster somebody that's like a Draymond Green that we don't know for sure if he's going to play or not, and then it just comes down to that one game, you have to have a plan in place, whether it's flopping for somebody else on Golden State, I just used him as an example. Let me change that. Let me use Michael Carter Williams because it's Orlando, Denver. That's the late game. We don't know if he's going to play, but have a plan is what I'm trying to say. So you don't just come to that game, he's ruled out, and then there's nobody to switch to or et cetera. But what we'll do is in our main lineups, we may build somebody like that in there. Kem Birch, who's questionable. If we do build him in, we're going to have a plan. We're going to be able to take, for example, Birch and Bacon out, put Barton and maybe, PJ Dozier or something in. But the bottom line is we'll have a plan to do that. So that is huge. And it goes on throughout the night. So the days of once you have your lineup locked and in, you can just sort of go about your business. Now, it is that way pretty much with baseball, unless you have a weather situation. But basketball, in these days, you've got to follow it throughout. If you want to maximize, you got to be able to do swap when you need to. And not like the old days, you can do swap on all of the main places like DraftKings, FanDuel, and Yahoo. So just an important element that we definitely want you to know that you'll get here at Coach Talk. All right, the second game is 7:30. It's Golden State 23-26 at the Atlanta Hawks 25-24. Golden State is a 2-point favorite. The over/under is 226.5. Probable lineups for Golden State right now are Curry, Wiggins, Oubre, the questionable Draymond, and Wiseman. For Atlanta, Trae Young, who is also not 100% into this game. He is actually listed as questionable with that sore knee. Bogdanovich, Herter, Hill, and Capella, that's who they're looking at this point. So we've got Golden State, the second fastest team in the league, and Atlanta all the way down to 28th. Nobody would believe that, but since Nate McMillan has taken over that team, they've been winning like crazy, and they've been doing it in two ways. They're slowing the pace down and controlling things in the half-court set, and they're playing much better defense. So definitely a pace down for Golden State, but a pace up for Atlanta. Defensively, Golden State's 9th. Atlanta still not completely out of the doldrums, but they are up to 25th defensively. Hopefully that continues to increase. As far as injuries, there's a boatload of them here. We have Draymond Green questionable. Curry is in right now. He is listed as in. They've already announced it. So let's hope that continues. We know Hunter is still out. And then if I could read my own writing here, what does this say? Pascal is out. So those are quite a few guys there. Gallinari's questionable. It does say that Trae Young is probable. So I think after sitting this last game, he should be able to come back and get some run. And we already mentioned Draymond is questionable. So a lot of news here to in this game to figure out. But, Curry rested. It doesn't say anything about a minutes limit, I think is a very strong play. He may be one of the better pay-up options here. I know Atlanta's playing better defense, but with Trae in there, he is not a good defender. So I think you're going to have some tougher D on him, on Curry at times. But for the majority of the time, I think he should get pretty free reign. And they got beat by 50 last time out, Golden State. So I think they're going to come out with a chip on their shoulder. I think Curry's going to be firing the ball. And I think that he is a good option in this game. I think I'm not interested in Wiggins. I think Oubre is a little overpriced. Weissman's okay, but I don't like him really just going head to head with Capella. And then there's a lot of good, guys that come off the bench. We know Poole, but has played well, but his price now has gone up from when Curry was out. So it makes it a little bit tougher there. So I'm not real thrilled with the depth here on the Golden State side, and it is a pace down. I'm more excited about the Atlanta side because it's such a pace up. And, Trae Young, even though he was playing injured the game before last, he went absolutely crazy in the fourth quarter and overtime for them to win that game. So I think he's also in play. If you want to go the Curry Trae Young duo there, they're both lower 5% defensive DRPM players in this league at points. So you would think they're going to feed off of each other for points up and down the floor. Bogdanovich has gone 10x, 12x, and I think 9x 3 games in a row. Andrew Hansen had called that before it even started happening. So a lot of our members are calling Andrew Dr. Bogey now. So, and he deserves it because it's been fantastic spot. But hopefully Andrew's busy with the kids at Easter finding eggs and everything, because I don't want him to hear this. But I'm going to fade Bogey today because I think he's going to be too heavy of chalk for everybody wanting to jump on that bandwagon. And I think he's going to be over-owned. And with Trae back, I'm not sure that he gets, all the monster usage that he has been getting. And I think that's pretty obvious. Plus, Kevin Huerter's in there because Hunter's still out. Solomon Hill is in there because the other piece of news that I didn't mention yet, which is huge, is John Collins is out. So, that's big because that changes all of that usage. It definitely elevates Young, and what it does is make Clint Capella one of my favorite centers on the slate, just because he does share some center time with Collins, which he won't have to do now, and Collins certainly scoops a few of those rebounds and such that is pulled away from Capella. So Capella in a game like this, with a good pace up, should have a lot of opportunities at rebounds and blocks. And I know he's a little costly, but I think he's well worth it on this slate. All right, 2 games left. We've got two down, 2 to go for the evening slate. We have the New Orleans Pelicans at 21-27, the Houston Rockets at 13-35. Houston right now is New Orleans is a 5-point favorite, and it's a 222.5. You've got pace of play, New Orleans 19th, Houston 6th, so pace up for the Pels. Defense is nice, New Orleans 28th, so we can attack that with some of these Houston guys, and Houston in the middle of the pack at 14, which at one time that was all the way up to 5, so they have definitely slid down the charts on that side of the ball. As far as knowledge of this game, it's all questionable. Ingram, Ball, Zion, I don't know if you've heard of any of those 3. They're all questionable. So obviously, how do you break down a game and game script when the 3 best players from the other team are 50-50 to play or sit? Kyra Lewis Jr. is out for this game, playing those monster minutes. He and Alexander Walker the last couple of games. I think Kyra may have tweaked something. The other big news is John Wall is out for Houston. So how do we determine this game? I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it because we have to get back together on this one on Twitter or Discord because you don't just need to, you have to know the news on all these Pell guys before you determine what you're going to do. I'll just say, obviously, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is the key play if they all sit. If they are all back, I'd fade Walker because he's played, 40 minutes the last couple of games. And then, whoever's in, if it's just 1 or 2 of the guys, then they're certainly playable. Houston's defense, like I say, has continued to go downhill. And, it's a really nice pace up. So we got to see if they're in. We got to see if they have a minutes restriction. The guy that I'm least likely to go for is Lonzo Ball because he's been out the longest. His injury was the most serious. So I'm already eliminating him. Don't need to go to Bledsoe with probably more of these guys back. But the two key guys I'm circling, and I expect if they do play, it will be without restrictions, but we have to confirm that. And that's, of course, the big money guys, Ingram and Williamson. So if only one of them's in, it's an easy plug and play. If they're both in, then I need to give it some consideration and see if they're playing full minutes. So that's how the Pell side will pan out depending on their status. On the Houston side, when Kevin Porter plays point, he does very well. And with John Wall out, his usage flies up the charts. He just, his price is still certainly way up there compared to where it was, but it's still very usable in a lineup build because it's not through the roof. It's reasonable. Sterling Brown is a decent play at a cheap number. Christian Wood has been absolutely fantastic. So he's, I'm probably not going to play him, but I'm not going to say not to play him. He's playing that well. I just think that I'm not going to have the salary to move up to that spot. But, I think that he's certainly somebody to consider. He could be the high scorer in this game, depending on who's in and out. So, if you do have that extra salary and you didn't go for somebody in one of the earlier couple games, Wood is a consideration. I have a tendency to look more at Porter and Brown and even House just a smidgen, depending on what the other side of the ball looks like. So I definitely want exposure here. I think that 222.5 number is fair. And I think you're going to need a guy or two from this game to get to that optimal lineup. All right. Last game on the slate. It is 10 o'clock, 2 hours later than any other game. So we're going to be sitting there waiting for this game. We're not doing an after-hours slate tonight on Coach Talk. So this game will have the players, hopefully, that will either get us over the top or not play very well, and we'll be where we are, and hopefully that's enough to hold on. But right now, you've got Orlando on the second night of a back-to-back, so that is a little bit of a concern. And here's the problem. 15.5-point favorite Denver, and we know Orlando just got their absolute clocks cleaned yesterday. So, how are they going to react to that? The bad news for them is the over-under from Vegas is only 215.5. So we're talking about Vegas has Orlando basically not breaking 100. So, that is a concern. If it blows out, as we saw, we warned yesterday there were potential for some blowouts, but we had a couple 50-point and 40-point type blowouts, which is a little unusual for the NBA. This game certainly could be one of those. So, you have to roster at your own risk here because you may only get limited minutes for some of these guys. But, we need the news on a lot of them. We know Monte Morris for Denver is questionable. That's something we still need to see. But listen to the questionable list for Orlando. It's pretty comical, sad, really. Michael Carter-Williams, Kem Birch, Gary Harris, Otto Porter, Mo Bamba, Kareem Moore, and Anthony, not Carmelo. But all those guys are either hurt, more than likely out, or possibly playing. So what does that leave us? It leaves us basically the core of the squad being Chasen Randall, Dwayne Bacon, James Ennis, and Chuma Okeke as the most highest usage guys that remain. I think they're all possibilities. Obviously, we need to see what the news is. If Carter Williams is out again, Chasen Randall's not good, but he's going to get a lot of minutes. Dwayne Bacon takes the big shots. I think Chuma Okeke is definitely in play. His price is higher than it should be, but he's a key guy. I think they're, one of the guys they're building around going forward. He certainly has a nice game. And James Ennis is a crafty vet. Hasn't been playing monster minutes, though, so beware of that. But if there are super shorthanded like that, you can consider them. On the Denver side, again, it's, the risk reward aspect here. If Orlando decides they're going to play and keep it close enough, Denver could have some guys just murder the slate here. But if it does blow out, I would assume they're going to not push their guys, and then it's difficult. But Jamal Murray hit and miss lately, and now that Morris is questionable, if he is back, that will take a few more minutes at point. Although Campazzo's been playing a lot of point as well, so not too thrilled with that spot. Will Barton has been steady. There's no question about it. But, Aaron Gordon coming there has really changed the complexion of this team. It has actually gone from, a team that we would really be able to zone in on a few of these guys and put them in the build. But all of a sudden now, you see some regression from some of the other guys with the addition of Gordon, because he does handle the ball. His assist ratio is up, and it's better than anything they had at that position. It's not even comparable to Millsap and JaMychal Green and those guys that were playing in that spot. It has elevated the level of the Nuggets, but now you've got Gordon, Porter, and the Joker. So you've got three studs there, and then Jamal Murray when he shoots well. So you're getting a lot of sharing of usage. You're seeing a little bit of the rebound and assist rate go down from the Joker. And that's not that he can't throw one of his 60-point games on the board, but I just don't feel those, blow it out the doors 80-point games that he has put up on occasion, DFS-wise, because of that. Porter's increased, just day over day increased offensive output, and then Gordon just filling all those gaps, where they didn't have anybody doing some of those things that Jokic does, and so he was forced to do it. Now he can sort of share the ball and get a little bit of a break there. Like I say, I think it's a great move. It was a great move for Denver. I think it's going to make them very dangerous in the West. But for DFS purposes, it's a small step back in my mind. So not crazy about this game. Would like to have a little exposure and want to see if any other news breaks to see if we do get a little bit of possibilities here or value to open up. So we'll see how that goes, and that hopefully gives you a good feel for this, both the 2-game afternoon and 4-game main slate, specifically on DraftKings and FanDuel. And, hopefully everybody has a great Easter. It's a blessed day for sure. Wish everyone and their families a great day. And why not, just for the heck of it, have some nice takedowns in DFS? You can't beat it. All right. We have an exciting week coming up this week. Andrew and I will be back tomorrow, breaking everything down. This is Masters Week in golf, so one of my favorite sporting events. So we have a great Masters contest here for our members. So you want to jump in there. Beat DMJO. It lives in Augusta. He's got us some really cool Masters merch, if you will, including some Pro V1 Masters golf balls. We're going to be giving those away to members with this exclusive contest. And then, of course, we have baseball and basketball every day. So it's going to be a very full week here at Coach Talk. We'd love to have you join us. Just go to dfscoachtalk.com to sign up, and we'll be looking for you. So for the entire team here at DFS Coach Talk, we wish you a happy Easter and a takedown day. So we will see you again tomorrow as we look to crush it in DFS.